Lions fans, hold on tight. Detroit might be about to make one of the boldest bets in its recent history. With a sharp roster and a declared obsession with the Super Bowl, the front office has made it clear they're going all in, and that includes a bold trade that takes them from pick 28 straight into the top 5 of the draft. But wait, there's more. A potential partnership that could turn the defense into a true wrecking machine is on the radar, and it's impossible to ignore. On top of that, the way the Lions are betting on under-the-radar names players who perfectly match Dan Campbell's style shows there's a plan in place. And it's aggressive. And if you think the changes stop there, think again. The offense is also getting some shakeups in leadership, which could seriously affect the identity fans have gotten used to. So you already know, don't miss a single detail and hit that like button if you're just as hyped to see what's coming. Alright, buckle up, Lions fans, because this 7-round mock draft is about to get spicy. Detroit's front office isn't playing it safe this year. With a loaded roster and eyes on a Super Bowl run, the thinking here is, why not swing for the fences? And that's exactly what happens right out of the gate. So, let's talk about the big splash. The Lions pull off a blockbuster trade with the Patriots, jumping from pick 28 all the way up to number 4 overall. To make that leap, they ship off their first and second round picks this year, plus a first and a fourth in 2026. Yeah, it's pricey, but if you believe you're one elite piece away, you go get that dude. And that dude, that's edge rusher Dallas Turner. This man is a certified game wrecker. Just imagine him lining up opposite Aiden Hutchinson offensive lines would be in constant panic mode. Turner logged 66 pressures and 13 sacks last season, along with 2 forced fumbles and a couple of pass breakups. He's the kind of player that makes quarterbacks sleep with one eye open. Instant impact. Day 1 starter. Game changer. Moving on, the Lions snag Illinois wideout Pat Bryant later on. And listen, this fit just makes sense. Big-time blocker, reliable hands, gritty attitude. He's tailor-made for Dan Campbell's no BS culture. I mean, it almost feels like he was built in a lab for this offense. Next up, even though they just re-signed Kayode Awosika, Detroit dips back into the offensive line pool and grabs Georgia Tech guard Joe Fusili. Gotta love the depth here. Then comes Fairchild, a 4th-round steal who allowed just 7 pressures and 1 sack last year. Smooth pass protector, a little raw in run blocking, but plenty to like. In the later rounds, they scoop up Utah's Junior Tafuna, aka the grown man of the Combine. Not flashy, but he's a rock against the run and tackles like a heat-seeking missile. Oh, and he's coached by former Lions Pro Bowler Luther Ellis. Gotta love the Lions connection. Of course, Brad Holmes wouldn't finish a draft without grabbing a guy from Alabama. Enter safety Jalen Moore. He brings solid depth with a familiar vibe, reuniting with former Tide teammates Brian Branch and Terrion Arnold. And finally, they round things out by snagging a sneaky good FCS hybrid RBWR who's been rising up boards fast. Might have been a UDFA target before, but with one of the final picks, Detroit locks him in before anyone else can scoop him up. Bottom line? This draft screams aggression, culture fit, and win-now energy. Holmes is going all in, and honestly, it's hard not to love the mindset. So, would you be bold enough to trade the future of the franchise for just one player? Let us know in the comments. Because if that move was bold, just wait until you see what might change on offense with the arrival of the new coordinator. The Lions' offense has been a machine in recent years with Ben Johnson pulling the strings, but now it's time to turn the page. Johnson went to Chicago to take over the Bears, so Detroit brought in John Morton to handle the job. The name might not make headlines, but the guy already knows the house. He was there in 2022, and he's stepping into a roster still loaded with talent. Names like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, and near MVP Jared Goff are still leading the show. Morton and Dan Campbell come from the same offensive tree Sean Payton's, so don't expect a total playbook revolution. But that doesn't mean everything will stay exactly the same. In fact, there are a few things that could change with Morton in charge, and maybe for the better. First, the famous tricks from the Johnson era, those wild plays like flea flickers, sneaky laterals, and wide receiver passes might fade away. Johnson was the mastermind behind that creative madness, and while Campbell also likes to take risks, the new coordinator might prefer a more straightforward, traditional approach. On the other hand, deep throws could become the new norm. Goff wasn't exactly a deep ball slinger in 2024, only 22nd in attempts over 20 yards, but with fast guys like Jameson Williams and St. Brown, the offense has everything it needs to stretch the field more often. Morton came from Denver, where Bo Nix's arm was unleashed without hesitation. He didn't call the plays there, but it's clear he likes to let it rip. Then there's the run game. The Lions have typically leaned on a gap-blocking scheme, but we could see more zone runs in 2025. Morton was on a Broncos team that used a lot of zone, and with an agile offensive line led by Sewell and 2 explosive running backs, Detroit looks ready to make that shift. Plus, zone runs and play action go hand in hand, and the Lions already knew how to abuse play action better than most. In the end, Detroit's offense is in good hands. The flavor might change a little, but the recipe is still top tier. Speaking honestly as a fan, I love the boldness from the front office in the draft. If the window is open, you have to attack. But at the same time, this switch at offensive coordinator makes me a bit nervous. The chemistry with Ben Johnson was special, and there's no way to know if it'll be the same now. The team has talent, no doubt about that, but the margin for error in 2025 is 0. Any slip-up could be costly. If you want to follow everything still to come with the Lions, hit that subscribe button and don't miss the next updates.